Hi and welcome back to our off-grid adventure. We are very happy to see that so many of you has joined us already, even though it's very early in our off-grid journey. In this video we are continuing to work in the garden in our off-grid cabin. These garden beds have been left alone for a long time and are covered with grass. Instead of trying to remove the grass, we are covering it with cardboard boxes, which will keep it from growing any further. After covering the garden beds with cardboard boxes, we are putting a layer of old hay on top of it. This will eventually break down and become soil and provide the garden beds with a lot of nutrients as it's rotting and breaking down. The cardboard boxes and the hay will keep the weeds from ever seeing the sunlight, which will prevent them from growing. This is also very good for nature because all of the hay that's already old and rotting will break down to feed the worms and become soil eventually. We are putting a really thick layer of hay on top of the cardboard boxes, and on top of that we can put anything that we clear from the garden. We can take basically any weed and just put it on top of this pile and it will never grow. The raised garden beds that you can see us fill in the last video is filled with cardboard boxes, branches and hay, which will break down and become nutritions for the soil. So now we're just reusing the soil that were in the garden beds before we moved them. The only thing we're doing is removing old roots so to keep them from spreading. And we're filling it up with additional hay to raise them as much as possible and save on the soil that we have to use. Any organic materials that we put in these garden beds will break down into nutritions and eventually become soil for the garden beds. And as long as they are rotting away, it's just good for the plants that we are planning on sowing and growing in these garden beds. This is basically the way nature would work if we weren't here to disturb it. In nature, if no one is around to disturb it, the old plants and branches and everything will fall to the ground and then become food for insects and break down into nutrition and become food for mushrooms and everything that is growing. So we can use this natural method to give the nutritions back to nature instead of just throwing it on a garbage pile. Trying to mimic nature is cheap and quite easy, and a natural way to give back to nature. Since we are totally off-grid, we don't have any way of cooking at the moment except on this portable barbecue, which is great. But in the coming videos you will see us build a fire pit and a off-grid pizza oven, which will elevate our cooking experience a lot. This chicken kebab was really good and you should really try it out when you are out in nature. Just have some way of warming the kebab meat and you will have a fantastic meal. And of course, since we are in Sweden, we eat cinnamon buns for dessert. And we warm them on the barbecue because it's really, really good.